Welcome to Everything's Fucked podcast, where you haven't been fucked till you've heard everything's fucked. You're here with Monica.
And Asia.
And Asia, did you know that in society you have to respect your elders? So apparently I have to respect you.
Yeah, you better. Fucking better.
So today we're going to be talking about the hierarchy of respecting your elders and toxic family boundaries and, all that shit that goes with the concept of societal standards for, respect your elders with no questions asked and what that means for your children, your family, why it matters, why it's not healthy, and all that shit.
And all that
Because you guys,
jazz.
it's a big deal.
It is.
Just like we're big deals.
I'm a pretty fucking big deal. I don't know about you, Monica, but
No,
I'm a pretty big deal.
Too. I'm a big deal too.
Oh my God, I love it.
You guys,
Okay.
we all know there's always been a big cultural norm for respect your elders. Raise your hand if you've heard that before. Oh, look at everyone's hands are raised.
Mine's up.
You guys are all raising your hands. I can see it right now.
Honestly, I was raised that I just have to respect people just for the simple fact that they're either family or older than me. Like I just had to respect them, had to do what they said, had to abide by their rules. They were also allowed to like just punish me, you know what I mean? Or correct my behavior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my mom just passed that off to everybody.
With blind trust and no reason other than they're older than you or their family. Like you're basically teaching unconditional compliance.
Yes. Yes.
Which is fucking dangerous.
It's so dangerous, man. It was dangerous in my life. You know what I mean? I think if anybody would have let me just trust my gut on people and trust if I wanted to be around them or not, and trust if I wanted to give them affection or not, that would have saved me a lot of fucking trauma, man.
Yeah.
A lot. But I was forced to like people, forced into relationships just because they said so. And I was a kid and I didn't have a choice.
So teaching kids unconditional compliance, teaching your niece and nephew, your grandkids, your children in your family, your what fucking ever, unconditional compliance is really fucking dangerous and can result in an abuse of power. Like you're teaching your kids, you're teaching any kids, not just yours, because we know that some of you guys don't have children. It teaches them never to question authority, even when it's healthy to do so.
Yes.
So I'm not talking about, kids going up to teachers and being like, I'm not doing that because I'm questioning what you're telling me to do. Like, obviously there's like a limit and lines where children shouldn't be questioning, some kind of authority.
Yeah, they shouldn't question everything. You know what I mean? There should be some things though,
Right. But there is this idea out there that kids should never be allowed to question authority. They should never be allowed to question anything or anyone because they're older or their family or whatever.
Or their friends.
That's just fucking ridiculous and wrong. And I'm going to be very passionate about this because I think this is so damaging and dangerous to our society as a whole, and we're going to get into all of the reasons why that is.
Yeah.
And Asia, you have so many good examples of why this was so damaging to you. And like, I want you to talk on some of those reasons because I think you are like a prime example of what can happen to an abuse of power in a family for blind compliance.
Yeah. Well, when I was around 5 years old, all the time growing up, I was put in my place. My parents were very much, your children, knock it off. We were in our place all the time. So we were very good kids. Like everyone would always say, oh my God, your children are so good. And we were, because we had so many rules there. We weren't allowed to do or fuck up. You know what I mean? We had to be on all the time. And when I was about 5 years old, a person started coming into the family, and it was through church. And he came in through the church, and my dad trusted him immediately just because he was from church. And he was a child molester. He had been in prison for molesting, a couple kids before me. He came right into the family, and he was allowed to babysit us when they wouldn't go on date nights. And I think the reason I felt so comfortable with him was because I was forced to give affection to people that I didn't necessarily want to give affection to. Like, I was forced to give kisses to cousins and hugs to aunts that I hadn't seen in my whole life. Like, I'd have to go up and kiss them on the lips. Like, I was kind of forced into these hugs and this affection that I didn't want. So when he gave me that affection, it almost felt like this is normal. This is how we do it. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has an uncle like him. You know what I'm saying? So it made it seem super normal for me to be
And
pulled up on
this,
his lap and put his hands in my pants. And I'm like, oh, well, everyone's in the room with us. He's doing this right in front of everybody. So this
yeah.
must be normal. You know what I mean? And no one's stopping him when he's grabbing a 5-year-old, 7-year-old little girl and sliding her up on his lap. Nobody in the room stopping him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So for
And this
me,
is something we're going to talk about more, like bodily autonomy for children and like forcing hugs and forcing
oh yeah,
kisses.
we
Like
need a
we're
whole
going to do a
episode
whole
on that.
episode on this
Yeah.
because this is also a problem in families and in society, like teaching kids consent and why
Yes.
this is something that needs to be talked about more because this is something that's also like
That
an
one's going to
issue.
take
But
that one's going to be a whole episode because
yeah,
the consent episode is very important. It's not
important.
even just children, it's everybody.
It's
It
everybody.
goes
Yeah.
so far. So that one we
Yes.
don't even
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah. No,
tap
we're
too
not
far
diving
on
into
that
that
right
one on
now.
that. But this
But
this is
that's what
important
started
to
it for
what's
me.
going. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what started it for me and made it okay in my family life, like, to be touched, was because touch was okay and expected. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's why that started it for me. Um, I also,
And that's part of respecting your elders is grandma wants a hug, auntie wants a kiss,
yes,
uncle needs wants to hold hands while you walk to the grocery store or whatever it
yes,
was. Like if you're not doing something that they're asking you to do, that's disrespectful. Even if it
yes,
goes against something that feels like in the pit of your stomach, like this doesn't feel right to me. If you're not doing it, you're being disrespectful. And it's like you can't tell your parents like this doesn't feel right to me because they're not teaching you that you have bodily autonomy and you can say no to those things because they're teaching you blind compliance. They're teaching you respect in a
twisted way.
fear-based way
Yeah, very
and
twisted.
a exactly, and they're teaching you that you have to do things because this is a family member and because they are older than you.
Yes, yes. Which, I think somebody being older than me, yeah, they do deserve like a little bit of like respect right off the top. But there's also so many things that anybody that's older than me that can do to immediately lose my respect. You know what I mean? So it's like I feel like we're just not giving children or kids or young people that type of tool. You know what I mean? We're just not giving them the tools.
We're not teaching them that respect should also be earned and that
Yes.
children are deserving of respect too.
Yes.
Like when we talk about respect, we're teaching kids when we talk about it that way, we're teaching them that they don't deserve respect. We're teaching them that because they are young, because they are children, that we don't respect them, that we don't respect their opinions, we don't respect their ideas, that almost that they don't matter because
Yeah.
they are young, because they are the young ones in the family.
Because they're like what's the word? They haven't been through it yet. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
they don't have anything to draw from. So we just immediately make them the lesser
Small.
the
Yeah.
lesser, you know what I mean, than us because we have more wisdom. We've been through more experiences and we've lived a life already. So we just basically dismiss them because they haven't, and that's not their fault. They're young. They haven't lived a
Yeah.
life yet. So why are we dismissive of them? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah. The
disrespectful.
unfortunate thing though is that, kids do have a lot to bring to the table.
They do.
There's kids are intelligent and they have feelings and they have emotions and you know, they should be allowed to express those. And when you aren't allowing those to be expressed, you're not respecting that they have those things. And
Yeah.
so, you are putting them in these small little boxes and telling them, that they don't matter in a sense. And, that's really damaging. And, as we grow up, we are blindly continuing these patterns and cycles, and we're bringing them into other places, right? We're still blindly trusting and blindly following these abuses of power into politics and schools and our jobs, and we never really learn to question, these different things because we're told not to.
Yeah.
We grow up as children into teenagers, into adults, and we're afraid to question. We're afraid to
Yeah.
have these conversations with our workplace. We're afraid to have these conversations in politics. We're afraid to have these conversations anywhere because, we were smashed as children into, don't
Yeah.
don't question, don't have that independent thought, don't have that independent emotion. Like, you don't matter. Your
Yeah.
opinions don't matter. And that's really scary.
And then
And
all of a sudden, when you turn 18, it matters. Like all of a sudden, it matters. And you don't even know what to do with that, to be
yeah,
honest, because it's never mattered before. So you either jump in full force and now everything matters and you become narcissist, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Or you go the other way. I
yeah.
just think that it can't be you're a low classman in the house up until you're 18, and then boom, now all of a sudden, you got all these responsibilities, and you better, now people better respect you, and you don't even know what respect is. Was never modeled to you properly. You know what I mean? So you're like going in there with nothing.
Well, it's like a toxic, modeling of respect. And
Yes.
that's not what respect is. You don't It's not a blind thing. It's not,
No.
something that you just freely give to anyone. Respect should be earned. It should be like a give and take where, I respect you because you're respecting me and you're trusting me and you're listening to my feelings and you're listening to how I express my thoughts, and you are listening to my ideas, and you're, having a collaborative conversation with me, and we're able to have a mutual understanding of each other. That doesn't mean we always agree on everything.
No.
That's not respect either.
Yeah.
It's being able to have, a mutual like understanding of each other. And if you are just blindly going around and saying this person's older than me so I'm respecting them, that's not real respect. That's fear.
Yeah.
That's just fear. And that's not healthy. It's not normal. And that leads to toxic relationships. And that's where toxic family patterns come in, where continue in these relationships with your family members where, they're not healthy for you, they're not beneficial for you, and you stay in them because family is family,
Yeah. And I
which
feel like
we both have that.
I feel like we both have that all the time. I do. I think like there's this like I don't know if it's like an expectation, but when you're family with somebody, you're raised in this like idea that just because you share DNA or blood, whatever, that person isn't part of your life now forever. Like you're raised to believe that. And it's just not true. You can end relationships if they're toxic. If they're not benefiting either person, you can end it. But in family situations, I think I have like probably 5 or 6 people that I could do without in my life, because of the trauma they put me through, because of the past. But I can't because of who they are to me, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
their status in my life is so great that I couldn't just end the relationship. I can't. So I just put boundaries, you know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah.
like you have to have something, you know what I mean? But there are some relationships where it's like not allowed, even if it's toxic, to leave.
It's hard. Yeah, I hear you on that. I think I think differently because I feel like I've gone through like so many things where like I finally have disconnected from that idea. To me, I have gotten to the point where for my mental health, I cannot continue relationships that are not beneficial to me or Ramona. And this idea that blood is thicker than water and like family is family, and you know, they're the only family that you have, and like, what would you do without them? It's like,
Live my life.
I don't, yeah, like, I don't know, have a better mental health, like not have anxiety when the phone rings. Like, I don't know, like
I
not
think
have a mental breakdown during the holidays, probably. Like,
I think being your friend and becoming your friend and doing this podcast has helped me to start doing as you do. But up until I quit using pills like 9 months ago, I was like having people in my life just because they, even if they didn't respect me, didn't really show me respect, love, or anything like that, I'd still keep them in my life because they were benefiting me in some way. Like they were
Yeah.
either able to get, pills, or they were somebody that I could tell I was doing bad things to. Like that's why they were in my life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So as I'm growing and being clean from those, and, gaining so much more wisdom from you and stuff, it is easier to let
Yeah.
people go. You know what I mean? Like I'm finding it easier, but
No, I think that's really good. I think when I look at my relationships, I try to look at like, and it may sound selfish to some people, but I look at the health of the relationship. If this person is calling me and I am like on the verge of a panic attack because my phone is ringing, like how is that serving me in a positive way?
that makes sense.
If I feel like dread in the idea of having to see this person or, text this person back, or, you know, I am having anxiety about having to even have just a conversation with this person. Like, where is this relationship going? Like, why am I continuing this relationship? And, it may sound selfish to some people, even if they are like my family, quote unquote, like, there comes a point where it's not healthy for me to have that relationship because it probably isn't benefiting them either.
Yeah, they're
They're
probably having
probably
just as much anxiety as
exactly.
you. Yeah,
And
that's what I was just
because,
thinking.
yeah, because they're probably texting me out of an obligation, like
Yeah.
I don't have a great relationship with my mother. And I think she text messages me sometimes to just check it off her to do list. Like,
Yeah.
I checked in with Monica this month, or I checked in with Monica because it's been 2 months. I
Yeah.
don't think she really cares to have a conversation with me. And she would probably say differently because, what mother wouldn't say that? But
Yeah.
I don't think if it really came down to it, like she really cares all that much about her relationship with me, and I feel like that shows in her actions.
Yeah.
And when she sends me a text message, my initial thought is, like I don't know how to respond to this. Like this feels like upsetting for me. I don't know how to have a conversation
Dude,
with her.
I'm sitting here going through the list of my fucking my contacts now, thinking which ones make me feel that way
Yeah.
and how I can
And
eliminate them.
yeah, and
Cuz
it's like,
I actually suffer with this a lot, and I feel
yeah, and
obligation to deal with the people that contact me text messages. You know what I mean? I do feel
yeah.
obligated, and I don't like it.
And to me, I would rather take my energy and pour that into people who I know like love me and care about me and check in with me, not because I'm a check mark on a box that, they're getting out of the way. It's because they genuinely are like, "Oh my gosh, I love Monica. Like, I want to see how she is. I want to check in with her. Like,
Yeah.
I miss her. I want to see how Ramona is." And I don't think that my mother does that for those
Yeah.
reasons. I think it's like, "Oh, this child, I haven't checked in with her." And
Yeah.
so I don't want to have
Disingenuous.
relationships like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, relationships like that are toxic, and they are not something that I want to have in my life.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they are beneficial to me, and they are beneficial to my daughter. And I don't want to model those types of relationships to my daughter either, because I don't want her to have those types of relationships.
Do you
I
just
want her to
cut
have loving
people?
relationships.
Do you just cut people, like, or do you let them fade out? Like how do you approach it when you have somebody in your life and you're like, this person's toxic? When I think about this person, they're really bringing me down. How do you weed them out?
So if it's a
Are you
friend,
cutthroat?
I generally like will have try to have conversations with them to like see if it's a behavior that can be changed. Like, can we fix the relationship?
Is it
Um,
salvageable?
is it salvageable? Usually not, if it's something that is like repeating behaviors. And then I'll just let the relationship kind of fizzle out on its own.
Yeah.
If it's a family member, it's usually like so much deep trauma shit,
Yeah.
like it's harder to fix those types of relationships. Like my mom and I have had a lot of conversations over the years, and we've gone years without talking, and then we've tried to like fix our
Rekindle your
relationship.
relationship.
And yeah, and it's like was it me that tried to do it? And then was it her that tried to do it? And then we go through like, like a year of trying to like deal with things. And, you know, it's, those are so much harder to try to fix
Yeah.
because it's so, especially like with a parent, right? Because it's like so many years of like, how do you deal with all that trauma? You can't. And, we've had so many conversations, and at this point, I just have gotten to the point of like sort of letting like letting it fizzle out. And
Yeah.
more so, I'm not trying to have that conversation with her again because she doesn't care to listen to me and doesn't care about how I feel about things. And now it's more, I've put up a wall and I've put up boundaries, and my boundaries are, I'm not really responding. And if
Yeah.
she calls me, like, I'm not going to be rude to her, but I might not answer the phone. And
Yeah.
if she text messages me and I feel like responding, like, maybe I will. And if she asks me straight out, like, hey, I noticed that you're not answering my text messages. What's going on? Like, I'll probably respond to her and just let her know, like, I don't really care for some things that have happened in the past year. And, like, I'm just putting up some boundaries right now. And
Yeah.
that's,
I need alone time, man.
yeah. And I feel healthy enough in my mental health to have that conversation. And I know that some people wouldn't.
Yeah. And I wasn't able. I would say for the last 14, 12 to 14 years, I've been on pills and I've been stunted. Like
Yeah.
my thinking has been like cloudy. I've been on everything from antidepressants to, I've been on everything. Like I've had so many health issues. And then it just like I can't even remember chunks of time because of how much medication I was on. So I feel like now I'm able to have that like that strong mental health, like where I can say, mom, this isn't good for me right now. Like I've had to do that in the past few months. Like when I first got clean, like she wanted me to come and do this and this and that. And I was like, mom, I'm just not in a good space right now to be at your house or around you guys right now. Like I can't do it. So
Yeah.
I'm going to have to reschedule with you. And she was like, oh, okay, no problem. Just let me know when. All right, cool. And that was it.
Yes.
So like for me, I'm getting stronger in that because before I would have just pushed through and I would have put myself in an uncomfortable situation and probably taken more medication to get through the situation because I was so fucking uncomfortable. Now I just don't go. Like if something's going to make me want to take a pill, then I don't go. Like I don't go to it. I don't
Yeah.
even pursue that because if I'm having that type of anxiety where I need a Xanax, then wow, I
Why?
shouldn't
Yeah.
be in
Why
that
are you there?
situation. Yeah.
Yes.
So
And
I feel
that's
like,
where you're learning, like,
yeah,
where are my boundary lines? Like, where are my boundary lines with this person? Where are my
yeah,
boundary lines with this person? And, you start to recognize, like, just because somebody is family, like, you can still set boundary lines with different people. And you'll learn as you like are start learning more about your sober self, like
yeah,
where your boundary lines are. And they don't have to be the same with everybody. Like, my boundary lines with, one of my sisters versus one of my brothers is going to be different. Like, I don't talk to my brothers because, like, I don't really have a relationship with them. And, I might have a conversation with one of my sisters that might be different with a different sister. And I just have different boundary lines for different people. And that's what works for me. And some
yeah,
people might find, like, I have one set boundary line for my whole family because my whole family feels toxic to me and I can't deal with any of them, and this is my hard boundary line and this is the way that it is.
yeah,
And that's okay. And it's okay to not talk to family members. And that's what people need to recognize is you don't have to have toxic relationships with people because they are part of your DNA,
yeah,
even your children, your adult children.
yeah. And that's what I'm going through. You know what I mean? Like, I think that choosing not to have Rebecca in my life and just ending that relationship until was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But for
Yeah.
my mental health, I was on a fucking roller coaster, man. It was like, get me the fuck off this train. I've been doing this for 18 years. I can't. And then it got to 20 years, and I was like, I can't. Why am I still doing this? She's a damn adult. Like, why am I still pursuing it? Why am I still pushing myself? Why am I still engaging with somebody who doesn't want any of that? Putting myself, in a bad situation mentally every single time. So I just
And that doesn't
stopped.
mean you don't love her.
No, I love her with all my heart. I care about her and I love her. But I'm not going to be a part of it. You know what I mean? Like, she's doing a slow suicide. She's killing herself so fucking slow with her addiction and her homelessness. Um, she's out there in the elements. You know what I mean? She's very thin. She's not taking good care of herself. And I don't want to be a part of it. Like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to be around it. I don't want to witness it. I'm like, no, I can't. Like, it's not. I tried.
Yeah.
I'd go and I'd look for her, and I'd find her like in these really bad situations, like sleeping on the sidewalk and stuff. And I'd be like picking her up and trying to take her to the hospital and just trying to save her life. Like, was killing me. It was
Yeah.
killing me, saving her life. So I had to make the decision that I matter. I matter so much. You know what I mean? That I can't put myself in that situation anymore. My mom still puts herself there. She still goes and looks for her. She still takes her, food and stuff and gifts. And I didn't even call her on her birthday. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
just have no more contact with her because my mental health got to the point where, I might have had to check myself into the hospital if I continued.
Yeah. And that's the thing we have to realize is like our mental health is more important than outdated societal standards.
It's
These
so much
are
more important.
these are the things we're working off of is like outdated ideas. Like we're in 2021. Like we're going into 2022. The idea of respecting your elders and the idea of like family is family, this like hierarchy of how things are supposed to work, that's not how things function anymore. We
No,
have therapy for a reason. Like mental health and how we are using mental health now, and the idea of it being so important because it is,
it
and
is.
using it and learning all these techniques and coping mechanisms and everything, like that is what it's all about. Is you cannot be healthy for yourself and for other people if you are continuing on these patterns of allowing these toxic people to basically rule your life and the way that you think and how you function in your own life. Because if I am allowing these relationships to dictate how I'm thinking and how I'm functioning and everything, like how am I supposed to be healthy for my daughter? Like
Yeah.
what am I teaching her in what a healthy relationship looks like? Like it's not going to serve her in any positive way
Yeah.
if I'm unhealthy.
Yeah, and me
And that's
modeling
exactly
it
what
me
it is.
modeling it to my kids by staying in those relationships with everybody that I do, the family members that I do. Um, it makes them think that they have to also do that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so
Yeah.
even just me modeling the behavior is not good. It's
Yeah.
toxic. You know what I mean?
It is. And so, like, how do you break those toxic cycles? Like, you have to start setting boundaries. And, you don't have to go through your contact list, like you're saying, and start saying, like, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I
start.
can't. I can't do that. That's why I was asking you how you do it because
So
I'm
you
not the
start
type of
setting
person that
small,
just unless you fucking burn me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You have to I have to
So,
either have something so bad that I don't want you to know so I don't ever go around you again
yeah.
or
So, like,
you
you start,
burn me. That's it. Those are the only two ways out. Like, honestly, you're here for life otherwise. I just
yeah.
never have been the kind of person just to
So you
cut
start
people
setting
off.
small boundaries. Like, if you have somebody that you immediately jump to when they text you because it like gives you so much anxiety, like you have to respond to them right away, because if you don't, they get upset. Like, set a timer. Don't respond to them for 20 minutes, or 30 minutes, whatever makes you feel the most comfortable, while also starting to set limits, right?
Okay.
Set a 20, 30-minute timer, give yourself some time, and then start moving it out, an hour,
Yeah.
you know, change it every week or every couple of days. And eventually you'll start seeing like, I, I didn't respond to them for 3 days, and look, I don't have any anxiety. And you know what? The world didn't come crashing down. I've
Yeah.
gone a whole week without responding to them. And you know what? I'm okay. I don't have anxiety. I am able to not respond to that person for some period of time. And I'm
You
okay
take your
with that.
power back.
take your power back, because once you can do that and you can show yourself, like I started small with 20 minutes and now I'm up to 3 days, or I'm up to a week, or whatever, you start recognizing like I'm breaking these like cycles. I'm stopping these toxic, behaviors in these relationships, and you are taking your power back. And you are recognizing like you can do these little things. And yeah, maybe it
You're an
takes
adult,
you
man.
6 months to a year to get to that point,
You feel like an adult when you're making
but
these
you
type of
do.
decisions, though. I'm telling you.
Yes, absolutely. And there's other little things that you can do. Like you might find that one person is just really easy to cut off. Like maybe you delete their number and block them.
Yeah.
Maybe you realize like you don't need a baby step with that person. You just say like, hey, I don't really need to talk to this person. I don't need to see their name in my phone list anymore. I don't need to see them on social media.
Oh,
You know,
social media. That's another one.
that is
We could, everyone could go through their social media and delete.
just because somebody's family doesn't mean you need to
Doesn't
see
mean that
them
you
on
have to have
Facebook.
them on Facebook. You don't know. I mean, this is so fucked up. I'm just going to say it though. Nobody in my family is really on my Facebook except for the family members that I deal with. That's the only people that are on my Facebook. So if I don't deal with you on a level where you think my memes are funny, or you you like my politics,
Yeah.
if we're not on that page, you're not on my page. So my grandma's not on my page. Most of my uncles and aunts are not on my Facebook. It's funny because I'll come in and comment on something on my mom's Facebook on her post, and I'll see like my aunt's names and everything, and they're like, "Oh, Asia's here. Whoa." Like, because they don't even ever see me. So I'm sure at
Yeah.
that moment, that's when they click my name and then they go to my page and actually, oh, Asia's over here, because
Yeah.
I don't follow anybody back. I don't like anybody's stuff. Like, I'm just on Facebook. But on Instagram, the last week and a half, I did have to go through and just clean out my fucking Instagram because I was taking in so much shit on the stories that I didn't even like. Like I found myself tapping through and I found myself like completely sliding to get out of their stories. And if I'm doing that, why the fuck am I following them? Like I don't even
Yeah.
know why I have them on my page. Is it out of obligation because they follow me? Like, is that why I'm doing it? Because if that's the case, bye. You know what I mean? Their stories are
Yes.
fucking annoying. You know what I mean? Why am I
Yeah.
here? You know what I mean? So I had to go through, I unfollowed like 30 people yesterday. And I accidentally unfollowed some people and had to refollow them because like, oh no, not that one, my bad, like because I hope they didn't notice that, because I like their page, but yeah, I had to go through and just clean out because you're right, taking in the mental load for everybody and taking it all in all the time is just too much, especially when it's annoying information or it doesn't line up with my values, my belief system, my, me. If it doesn't,
Yeah.
then it's like, get the fuck out. We don't have time for this anymore. Like, I'm growing over here, people.
Yeah,
Get out
because
of my
like
way.
all that content that you're taking in all the time, I mean, it's like trash brain,
Yeah.
Like I don't need trash brain. I have like
Real things to think
it's
about.
yeah, it's
Man.
I don't
To
need
think,
trash brain.
yeah. To think, you know what I mean? It all started with memes. Memes. Anyway,
Yeah. It
this
all
whole
started with
relationship started with a
memes.
meme because I started my page over memes
Yeah.
and
I
parenting. I think that's
and
another reason
parenting.
why we both started our pages was for parenting.
Mine was for mental health.
Oh,
Like
mental health.
parenting, like cuz yeah, it was like me trying to, I mean, because parenting is hard, like, you know, I was trying to better my mental health, and and that's exactly like why I'm here
That's so
is
awesome because now you're helping everybody with their mental health. So it's
yeah,
like full circle. You know that, right? You came full circle already. We're already doing
thanks. I'm trying to make like a big circle, like a
it.
squiggly circle that just keeps going around.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's great. I think it's wonderful.
Thanks.
You know, people need to let
I feel
those
like I'm
relationships
yelling at
go.
everyone in this episode.
No, you're not.
You guys,
You
cut people
guys,
out of your lives.
fucking A, man.
Cut off everyone.
Get it right. No,
Be a man on an island or a woman.
I've ended a few very long relationships that were toxic in my life. Back in the day, you know what I mean? Like, I think when I was like 30 years old is when I started like really saying, "Wow, I'm an adult. Like, I get to make these decisions. Like, I get to say if I want this person in my life or not, and I don't. So bye." And I think people have a season of
I
life too. You
I
know what I mean?
agree. I think too, like we are conditioned when we are young to feel like people are supposed to be in our lives forever. And, there have been friendships in my life where I'm like, you've been in my life for a long time and, we're not really friends anymore.
Yeah.
We've grown apart. Like, you aren't good for my mental health.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I would have considered you family 10 years ago, but you're not really anymore.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like,
It's
you don't
okay.
have to keep people in your life just because they've been there for 10 years or
And you don't have to
15
cut
years
them
or
out
20 years.
100% and block them either. It can just be
No,
like
like,
they're there. They were a season in your life. They were the winter season, and now you're on to summer. You know what I mean? Like it's okay to grow past people, and it's okay to, you know,
and your family,
yeah,
including your family,
yeah, everybody. You really can.
anyone.
I mean, if I'm in a relationship with somebody and they're super toxic, like you're saying, and every time I deal with them, I just like, oh, God damn, why do I have to fucking deal with this person? Why am I? You know what I mean? And you're making some really good
Yeah,
points
we're
about that.
adults,
Like,
like Asia's
yeah,
saying.
I'm almost 40 years old. Like I'm older than you, so stay in your place.
Yeah, we
Almost
don't respect you though. I'm just kidding.
I'm almost 40, man. Like at some point you have to say, if I don't want to do that, I'm not gonna. And
Yeah.
if I don't feel like dealing with that person, I'm not gonna. And it's okay to just walk the fuck away and not even say anything. Just not be there when they look behind them. Like you've already turned around and walked the other way and they didn't even notice. You know what I mean? Just let it go.
That's like one of those things where it took me until I was like into my 30s, like well into my 30s, where I was like, why am I making decisions for other people? Why am I making decisions based on other people's feelings? Like, why am I not ever taking my own feelings into consideration? Like,
Yeah.
I have feelings.
Yeah. And
Like,
I want to
my
be happy
feelings should
too.
be
You know what
the
I mean?
first feelings that matter next
Yes.
to my child's. But even
Yes.
my feelings should still matter.
Trump. Yeah, they should trump it because they should come on
Yeah.
top because you're the priority in your own mind. You should be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was never like the way that I lived my life. It was always like,
We
how
weren't
does this
taught.
person feel? How does that person
Yeah,
feel?
we're
No,
always worried about everyone's feelings. That's for sure.
exactly. And I think that once I like had that realization is like, wait a second, like, why are my feelings never mattering? Why are my feelings not counting? And
Yeah.
I think flipping that was a huge like help for the way that my mental health was, especially over the last 2 years. Cause it was really like as I was going into like year 35, so really the last year, that I'm like, hey, like your mental health, your feelings are the most important because if you aren't feeling right, if your mental health is not right, like Ramona's is going to be real trash. And also, I don't want Ramona growing up thinking her mental health doesn't matter. I don't want Ramona growing up thinking like her feelings don't matter. And
Yeah.
I don't want to ever force Ramona to have relationships with people just because they are part of her DNA or her life. Like Ramona doesn't really have a relationship with her bio dad, and I would never force her to just because he created her. Like,
Yeah, Rebecca didn't like her dad at all. She didn't and it was kind of sad because Rebecca didn't find out who her dad was until she was 11 and it was a bad situation and you know it was traumatic for her because she really wanted her stepdad, my husband, to be her dad, and she wanted to be full siblings with her siblings, and she struggled, really bad with that. So when he
yeah,
came in and he wasn't the person that she really wanted to be around, and he gave her all these bad vibes, um, she didn't want anything to do with him, so she didn't have to. When he came over to the house to bring child support, she'd go outside and play, and he'd stay in the house with me, and I'd talk with him and stuff because she didn't like him, and she didn't have to. She was never forced to hug him, never forced to kiss him, never forced to do anything. One time, I did put her in the car because she said she wanted to go to his house and she wanted to spend time with him. So I put her in the car. She pulled up to the light. He pulled up to the light to get on the freeway, and she jumped out of the car and ran into the gas station because she didn't want to get into the onto the freeway with him and not know if she's ever going to come back to me. So I got in my car and I went and picked her up at the 7-Eleven,
wow,
whatever, and took her
yeah,
home. And she never had to she never even had to see him again after that, because it traumatized her so much, thinking my mom's putting me in this car with this guy and I'm going to go all the way to Palm Springs, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
ride a horse with him and stuff and have a good time. I don't even know him, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
she immediately left. And then that was it. I was like, nope, I'm pulling the plug on this. She's not
Yeah.
comfortable. She doesn't like you. I'm sorry. It's not you. It's just is what it is.
Yeah.
And so me and him still have a very good relationship, but Rebecca doesn't claim him. She wants nothing to do with him. Um, yeah,
And that was her decision.
her
And you
decision,
respected
100%.
that,
Yeah, 100%. And I never,
regardless of the fact that DNA was involved,
yeah, because you know what?
which is the point we're
It
making.
doesn't matter that he's a good person. It doesn't matter that he never did anything to hurt her. She
Yeah.
doesn't want to be around him. She gets bad vibes off him. Great. Okay, then go over there. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
don't have to, because I don't want anybody to feel that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my kids, I definitely listen to their gut. If I'm in the grocery store and somebody comes up and starts talking to me and Scarlett starts to cry, I push the fucking cart away. I leave that. I
Yeah.
leave the conversation dead in its tracks, because my daughter just signaled to me that
That
person is
something doesn't
not
feel
okay.
right. Yeah.
Yes, I
And
trust
that's
it.
the thing is like, we weren't taught that when we were kids. We were taught not to listen to our
Not
guts
to
because
listen
we
to it.
were taught blind trust. We were taught unconditional compliance and respect your elders.
Yep.
Family is family, and that's exactly the point we're trying to make. Like, do not teach your kids blind compliance. Do not teach your kids
No.
not to question authority. Do not teach your kids that family is family, because I'm telling you right now, like, my cousins were molested by their older brother. And I had to teach Ramona, do not ever go into a room by yourself with anyone,
Anyone. Don't trust
even if they're
anyone.
family,
Don't
because
trust anyone, man.
you don't know. Family
No.
is family. You know how many, I'm not trying to put the fear into anyone, but your family, they're the ones that end up hurting you the most.
Yes.
And having to have that conversation with Ramona when she was 4, that her older cousin that she knew was the one that molested her siblings. You think I'm not going to have that conversation with my 4-year-old? You're wrong. Like,
See, and
those are the
I'm open too.
conversations. Yeah.
I do it at their age level and the appropriate, verbiage. You know what I mean?
Ramona
But
was old enough to know,
yeah,
and
but
she was around him.
I talk to my kids about it. And, like, I think that as we raise our children differently, as we reflect and go back and be like, hey, wait, the way I was raised wasn't all that great. And I want to change it. I want my kids to come out with these tools when they're done with me. You know what I mean? When they leave
Yeah.
my house, I want them to know that they should trust their gut, that they should walk away from situations that make them feel sick, that they
Yes.
shouldn't engage with people that are going to damage their mental health, because that's why they pick the wrong man. That's why they get in the wrong relationships. That's why, you know what I mean? That's why those things happen, is because you're
Yeah.
not giving them those tools. And
Exactly.
I have an old enough child to see where I made errors. I made huge errors in raising her, and it's okay. I've made amends with myself about it, but I can also say I need to go back now and make sure I don't make those errors with my
With
kids.
your other kids.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the thing with this podcast. It's like we hope to help everybody, because we've been through it. We've seen it, we've seen the errors in our ways. We've seen our parents' mistakes that they've made, and we just want to make sure that the people that want the information on how to change it, the people that need it, have it. So
Yeah.
we're sharing our insight, you know what I mean, on what we've been through, and hoping it helps everybody else.
Yeah. You guys, therapy is great. We'll say this again until we're dead, or blue
Blue
in
in
the
the
face, as
face.
Asia likes to say.
Blue in the face, bitches.
Therapy is great. They will, you find the right therapist, they'll teach you how to set boundaries with your family. I know someone who, I'm not going to call this person out, but is learning how to set her own boundaries with her mother. She has had a toxic relationship, and she's learning how to set amazing boundaries right now. I'm so proud of her because she's doing it with a therapist and is learning some
The
really
right
great
way.
tools and
Yeah.
is doing it the right way. And, her mother doesn't understand, no matter how many times she says, like, you're violating my boundaries. Like, I'm setting
Yes.
boundaries with you. Like, you're not listening to me. And she's persisting, and I'm so proud of her. Like, you guys, there are tools out there, and, ask questions, like, do the research. You can come talk to us.
Yeah. We can
We've
continue the
been doing it.
convo.
continue the conversation. But
Yeah.
like we've been saying, like therapy is amazing. There's different ways you can do therapy, talk therapy, online therapy, in-person therapy for those of you who enjoy that. But you guys, really what we're trying to say is, check yourselves, look at your relationships. Like, are there relationships that are not serving you?
Yeah.
If there are, like, do what you can to take care of yourself, to take care of your own mental health, to take care of your kids, to take
Take your
care of your
power back.
relationships, to
Yeah.
take your power back, because
Yeah.
that is really what is the most important. And that is
Really
all we
is.
are trying to say is, just because society tells us that we have to adhere to a certain hierarchy does not mean that we have to. And let's
No.
kick that to the curb, because we are going into 2022 and we do not have to live by those society standards anymore. You
No,
guys,
we
we
don't.
don't.
It's over,
So,
guys.
yeah, kick it. All right, you guys, it's been a great conversation. We're
I
going to
enjoyed
continue
it.
it.
I learned a lot. I did. I learned a lot. Thank you for
I'm
this one, love.
glad. This was a good one.
It
I've been
was.
looking forward to this one because my family has got like a lot of toxic people in it, and it's just crazy to me. Like, we have a lot of these conversations, like within my cousin and I have a lot of these conversations, and my sisters and I, we have a lot of these conversations. And so, like, talking about it with people, like, is really important to me, because I just love to see people setting boundaries, especially within their family, because to me it's something that just like, it just brings
O-
me joy, not
Opened
to
your
see
life
people
up.
cutting off their family, but it brings me joy to see people like taking their power back, like you're saying. And I
Yeah.
just really enjoy, people taking steps to better their mental health. That's
I
really,
honestly didn't know how this episode was going to turn out because it was like, well, hierarchy, yeah. But now that you've explained it and like your position and stuff, I really do feel like a little bit more empowered. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
able to go out now and say, you know what, no, I'm not okay with that, even more so than I was doing before. So
good,
yeah, I think that this was a really good one. I'm glad
good.
you brought this one up.
So
So
happy. That makes me happy. So,
awesome. All
you
right.
guys, get a hold of us, find
Yeah.
us on
You
social
guys know where
media,
we are.
all that kind of
We're going to be
stuff.
doing a
Can't wait
poll
to
on this
continue this.
one, right along with all the other ones on Instagram. So make
Awesome.
sure you check us out there.
Yeah, we'll find you guys. Talk to you soon.
Have a good
Bye.
week.